Good.
right. So we are recording now. Let me start the live stream. We are going to be on Partners for Students. Good afternoon and welcome to this historic podcast brought to you by Partners for Stennis and Michoud. I'm Tish Williams. Saturday, January the 16th, we're going to be making history in Hancock County, Mississippi and Louisiana. We are inviting you to be a part of it. Live coverage of the SLS Artemis Core Stage Hot Fire Test is expected to begin at 3:30 with the test going off at 4 Central Time this Saturday. All you have to do to be a part of it is to tune in to NASA TV at nasa.gov, and we certainly hope you will. And I know there's a number of people who are actually going to be going out to the Hancock County, Mississippi Welcome Center, to the Infinity Science Center, in hopes that they can feel the shake, rattle, and hear the roar of the engines that are going to be going off during this historic test. And with me today are two distinguished guests, the chairman of Partners for Stennis, Mark Glorioso, United States Senator Roger Wicker, and the general manager of Airjet Rocketdyne, Michael McDaniel. Gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for joining us today to provide some insight on why this hot fire test is so important to all of us. Mark, you actually worked at NASA for 34 years, so you are intimately familiar with why this is so important.
Thank you, Tish. Senator, before we begin, I just want to thank you for the hard work you do for us, especially trying to unify this country. I can't thank you enough. And I also want to thank you for being here today. Thank you for your service. But today I want to talk about something that's really of interest to all of us here in South Mississippi. We're going to be testing, as Tish said, the Space Launch System rocket. It is going to take the first woman and the next man to the moon in 24. The rocket that we're testing this week produces 1.6 million pounds of thrust and will burn 800,000 gallons of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen in an 8-minute test to test the full systems on that first stage to get us into orbit. This is a great opportunity for us to show the world how we participate in the space program here in the South. The team was led by Robert Champion at Michoud, who built this rocket and assembled it, and it's led by Dr. Rick Gilbreth at the Stennis Space Center, who runs the team that will test it. Senator, we at NASA understand the importance and the relevance of this amazing accomplishment, not only tomorrow, but in 2024. And I just wonder, in your own words, can you talk a little bit about the importance of human space travel and why it is so relevant to us today?
Well, thank you very much. And yes, it is great to be with you on this Zoom meeting. I will be with you tomorrow in person to see this historic test. And Mrs. Wicker and I are really looking forward to that. But this is another opportunity for the United States to show international leadership. And regardless of some of the things that we've seen in recent days that people around the world might not understand, we are the international leaders in so many respects. And for half a century, we've been the international leader in space. I want to take this opportunity to commend not only NASA and the participants in this program today, but also Minister Bridenstine. I think he has just exceeded expectations many, many times over because of his stewardship at NASA. And yes, this is about putting the first woman on the moon and the next human beings on the surface of Mars, a 4-year period and a 9-year period. I think we can do it, and an opportunity for us to exercise international leadership. also thank you for mentioning unity and and the need for that at this particular moment in the United States of America. And the space program is always a program that has provided an opportunity for people of all stripes, all income groups, East Coast, West Coast, North and South, to show unity. I remember as a fourth grader listening to the radio in Miss Lowe's fourth grade class at Pontotoc Elementary School when Alan Shepard uh, was the first space shot. Didn't even orbit the globe. It was he just got out into outer space and back. But it was an opportunity for the United States to once again reclaim leadership, and we've had that ever since. And we were unified around that. The world was unified in 1969 when we took one great step for man and a giant leap for mankind. And when Apollo 13 was in distress, it was a unifying effort for America and for the world. So, it's hard to get unanimous anything in Congress these days, but the NASA Reauthorization Act that we just passed a few months ago was passed in the United States Senate unanimously, 100-0. So that's the kind of leadership and unity that this sort of event and these sorts of accomplishments can give us.
I can't thank you enough for those words. Again, very emotional to hear you speak about such things like this. We sometimes take a lot of criticism that we're spending $20 billion a year at NASA. I know when you look at the total budget, most people don't realize that's only a half a penny out of every dollar. And we look at some of the many spinoffs of what NASA does. How do you respond when people question your support of such a great endeavor, not the Senate, but just constituents?
Well, I think it's just fine to question expenditures. That we need to look over all the money we spend with a fine tooth comb, and so I'm happy to have that expenditure question too. The answer is it's money well spent, and again, international leadership, unity of our country, but also there are thousands upon thousands of people alive today because of discoveries we've made in the last 50 years in the NASA program and in the moon exploration program. And it's just hard to calculate what we're going to see come out of this because we have no idea the discoveries we'll make. But I think that the space program and NASA, looking at the last frontier or the next frontier, who knows, is worth this considered amount of federal tax dollars. If the Americans see a result, if they see a concrete result, that's what they want out of their taxpayer money. And I think in 2024, 2029, when we once again demonstrate our leadership, I think it's going to be worth every penny.
Well, your answer is so concise and so excellent. I implore everybody to commit these answers to memory because that is in a nutshell exactly what is right.
Can I also mention jobs for Americans?
Yes.
And while we're at it, jobs for Mississippians and jobs for folks in the Gulf Coast area. I know we have folks over from Louisiana, and Michoud is absolutely a part of this. But the development of scientists, little boys and girls who are seeing this will want to become STEM educated because of this. And it gives me a lot of patriotic pride as a Mississippian to know that the road to the moon and the road to Mars necessarily has to go through Hancock County, Mississippi. And so that's just another little aspect, in addition, of course, to the millions and millions and millions of dollars of payroll coming to citizens and families in our part of the country.
Yeah, well, like I say, I wasn't born in Mississippi, but I got here as quickly as I could. The last thing,
Thank you. Thank you.
last thing I wanted to ask you about, and it's more of an emotional question, but most of us at NASA experience that emotional and even that romantic side of space travel. Can you talk in your own words how it feels to be testing this rocket and getting ready for these first steps, just from a personal standpoint?
Well, it's almost like hearing the national anthem, or hearing a great history lesson about our continued ability to join hands together and do something big, and to hearken back to all the presidents who've supported this, including President Kennedy, who said we do it because it's easy, because it's hard. We're happy to show that we can do a hard thing that gets us tangible results. So yeah, it ought to send a thrill up our spines and make us proud, and it does.
I can't thank you enough. Again, I know I've said it, but I know you have a full schedule of meetings today, and I thank you for joining us. I hope that this test proves as emotionally moving for you as I know it will for the men and women who have worked tirelessly to make this a success. I really appreciate your time today, sir.
Very good. See you tomorrow.
Yes,
All
sir.
Thanks, Senator.
Goodbye, Senator.
Bye-bye.
So we really appreciate that you've tuned in with us. We have another guest, Michael McDaniel, the General Manager of Aerojet Rocketdyne at Stennis Space Center. Michael, you've been in this field for 37 years and have actually been at Stennis for 20 of those years. It was just 10 years ago when you were promoted to General Manager for the Aerojet Rocketdyne. And personally, I remember that day like it was yesterday. And you and your team have been a critical part of this historic moment in space exploration. Michael?
Thank you, Mark. And I tell you, it's a hard to follow the senator. He absolutely was right on point with his comments, and the chill that we get. I get chills every time we successfully test an engine on the test stand. But you're right, this is a historical time. There's going to be 4 of these RS-25 engines that is going to be tested in the core stage at one time. And it's already been mentioned, it's 1.6 million pounds of liquid rocket propulsion thrust at sea level. And there hasn't been that much energy since the Apollo program. And as was already mentioned, this rocket system is going to not only be the platform for going to Mars, but we're actually going to be putting the first woman and the next man on the moon within what the time frame by 2024 is the schedule. So it is very exciting to lead again, and I think as a nation, it's a national asset. Stennis Space Center, the test stands, and then the SLS rocket's going to be a national asset to the United States. So we have been testing for the last several months. We've been testing the core stage at Stennis and running incrementally increased amount of tests and on the systems of the core stage, which is tomorrow we'll be running the hot fire of all 4 engines. We actually light up the engines and fill the tanks with the fuel. And as you said, hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel. And so when that core stage, those tanks, they were manufactured in Michoud, right across the state line in Louisiana and New Orleans area. And we actually assembled and hot fired and flight certified all 4 of those engines that are going to be on this core stage. And we delivered those engines to Michoud a year ago. Michoud and Boeing and that facility and NASA installed those engines into the core stage. Then we turned the core stage back to Stennis. It's been installed into the test stand. And then tomorrow we're going to be having a hot fire test. And what we're hearing is that people as far as 60 miles away from Stennis Space Center will be able to hear the rumble that Tish had mentioned already, and the roar of these engines. So it's going to be approximately 8 minutes, hot fire test. And the profiles, the thrust profiles of that test is going to be exactly the same as the first flight. So people will be able to hear the 109% thrust levels at the beginning of the test, and then it will be throttled down during the test as if just like it would be in flight, and then throttled back up for full thrust again later in the test. So you'll actually hear different frequencies of noise coming from the engines and from Stennis. So that's tomorrow, and I'm excited about it. The senator, you can tell he was excited about it, and I know everybody is. There's a buzz around the area, a buzz at all the stores you go into. People are talking about this is historical. This is, everybody's very proud that Stennis and Mississippi is part of this program. After the hot fire test, there's some facts, and just kind of amazes me that the amount of data that's going to be collected by NASA and during this hot fire test tomorrow, this 8 minutes, 50 to 75 terabytes of data. And putting that in perspective, the entire Library of Congress will fit on about 15 terabytes. So we're talking about 50 to 75 terabytes of data that's going to be collected in 8 minutes of hot fire test. And then that data has got to be analyzed and graphed and put into charts and analyzed by the engineers and NASA. And then when that data and everything shows that this core stage performed as required, then the engines and the core stage will be processed and delivered to Kennedy Space Center. At Kennedy, it will be put integrated in with the solid rocket boosters, and then the Orion capsule, and then taken out to the launch pad. And as it's been mentioned, the schedule is to launch the Artemis 1 SLS rocket by the end of this year. So it is amazing. It's huge, and it's very historical. And then, as the senator was saying, there's a huge economic engine for the state of Mississippi, for the regional area, the Gulf Coast area, and for the United States. There's 5,000 men and women that actually work in the science and military programs at Stennis. And if you look at what it takes to build a rocket engine, it's every machinist, welders, engineers, finance, communications, across the board. Every job that you can think of goes into making the team that builds and tests and then launches these rockets. So it is a United States. The supply chain for these rockets are in all 50 states of the United States. So quite exciting, and I absolutely appreciate the opportunity to talk with you guys about this, what's going on today and tomorrow. So appreciate it. And just we actually started the first sets of the processes going into hot fire. We started that yesterday. So it's we're already into the test, if you want to think about it. But it's not the hot fire portion where the rumble and the roar, but the test is already in process and going well.
Michael, it's not only a pleasure to get this information from you, it's an honor that someone so close to this is able to spend this time educating us and our co-workers and families in this area. I certainly wish to, along with Tish and everyone else here, extend a message of pride and gratitude to the local community at Stennis Space Center and at the Michoud Assembly Facility in moving America forward with this spacecraft. As you said, we're putting the next man and the first woman on the moon. This is a huge step in unity, as the senator said. We congratulate the SLS and Orion teams across the country. We wish them success and complete the Green Run test tomorrow. We hold in high esteem the women and men in South Mississippi and Louisiana who have dedicated their lives to this program. We thank you, Michael, for your contribution. And we urge every citizen that's anywhere in this area to reach out, congratulate your family and friends who've made the momentous event so spectacular. It's for our nation's future. It's for the future of humankind. Tirelessly through the adversities of the COVID-19 pandemic have made this rocket a reality. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank
And
you,
I'll
Tish.
thank you enough for your leadership too, as past chairman of Partners for Stennis for many, many years. As you know, because you've gone on trips to DC with us every year to advocate for Stennis Space Center and the Michoud Assembly Facility. Partners for Stennis has been advocating for Stennis and Michoud for 25 years. And this has to be the pinnacle of your career, and certainly our efforts here with Partners for Stennis to see all of this come to fruition. And don't forget, everyone, tune in on Saturday. That's tomorrow. All right, they're going to open it up at 3:30, and at 4 o'clock, the test will go off. That's Central Standard Time. And I've also heard that people are going out to the Mississippi Welcome Center and also to the Infinity Science Center to just sit in the parking lot, stand in the parking lot, be there when they can actually hear it themselves. But you can watch it live on NASA TV at nasa.gov. You heard it here first. We can't wait to see all of you tomorrow on NASA TV.
Can I add one thing, Tish?
Yes.
Be patient if you don't hear the rumble at 4 o'clock. Testing is hard business, and it may take a little time to get through it, but bear with them until around 5:30 or 6, Michael?
That's correct. 6 o'clock is right now, but it could, like you say, when the pressures, the temperatures, the flows all come into line, that's when the test will occur. And so there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of activity that's got to happen. So very good advice to just be patient and keep an eye on the news. And it could go right at 2, it could or 3 or 4, 5 or 6. You just keep an eye on what's going on, and it's exciting.
Last words.
You'll hear it.
The bottom line is we are making history right here in Mississippi and
Indeed.
Louisiana, and how proud we all are that our citizens have been a part of this. And thank you, Michael, for your leadership.
Well, thank you, Tish. Appreciate it.